now you're like wondering, I'm not stuttering, but really I am someone that stutters. Now, things that I'd like to focus on. I've dealt with many things in my life as a stutterer. I was moderate, but I found a way to cope with my stuttering. And the tool that I use that helps me cope with my stuttering is called advertising. And what I do is I promote my stuttering to other people. So when I have a problem, I confront it. I don't go and yell at the person or say that you did this. I tell them how I feel, and I give them a piece of my literature that I made. I made Q&As, which were for teens, because I know that kids my age do not want to read a half-an-hour long 3-page thing, because it's just boring. They would just throw it in the garbage. And then for adults, I made a brochure. And what this tool does for me is it desensitizes me. It relaxes me, and then I stutter less because I'm comfortable with that person. And just some reactions that I have gotten from these pieces of literature. My speech therapist always tells me you can only educate 95% of the people. There's always the 5% jerks and people that want more fun.
We're trying.
Yeah, so all you can do is try. So this is a situation that I got a positive effect, and something that I just sort of like gave up is like, she just isn't worth my time. So what happened was, I was in English class, and so it's a class of 10 kids, and what happened was she asked, what is a connection? My hand goes up and she says, Jeremy, and I say, A, and I had a bad block on the word connection. A block is when you literally stand there with your mouth open and no sounds come out. So I was like that for 3 to 4 seconds, which is a pretty severe block for me. So while I'm in my block, she skips over me and she says, well, Jeremy, next time, if you know the answer, please just say it. If you don't know the answer, and you don't know what you're going to say, please do not raise your hand. And that really offended me, as she did something like this. And I thought, instead of screaming at her after class, because I was really upset, she embarrassed me in front of all my friends. And what I did afterwards was I gave her one of my brochures, and we had a dialogue about it. And instead of telling her, hey, you made fun of my stutter, I was more active, and I told her how I felt, and I said, Miss the teacher, no name, Miss no name, I feel offended, and what you did really offended me. I'm not sure if you were aware of what you did, but I felt like you discriminated me because of my stutter, and I knew the answer to the question. It just takes me longer to get my words out. So she said, oh, Jeremy, I didn't know what I did was wrong, because in reality, believe it or not, some people don't know what they're doing, and she clearly didn't know what she was doing. And what ended up happening was we had a 15-minute dialogue about it, a very nice dialogue, and she was very understanding. She said, "Oh, my cousin, she actually stutters. So thank you so much, Jeremy, for bringing this up to me." And it was a very mature thing to do. Now, the positive thing that came out of this was, what happened was, when we're reading out loud, for someone that stutters, reading out loud is terrible because you're nervous, especially when they say we're going around in a circle and you're going to read. It's like the stress. It's like you're like counting the paragraphs, and even what happens is I don't know what paragraph because she just randomly says stop. So I don't know what I'm reading, and I can't prepare. So, which was very nice of her. 2 paragraphs before my turn, she tapped me on the shoulder quietly and said, "Hey, Jeremy, you are going to be reading." Because clearly she read my brochure, and she said, and she found out that when you give someone that stutters preparation time to formulate what he or she's going to say, it makes them more fluent. So I had time to use a tool called continuous phonation, which chopped my phrases, and it allows me to pause and keep my phrases short and fluent. If you've watched the movie The King's Speech, they do it very well in that movie. And so what happened was, I did fine, and it was great because she told me, "Hey, Jeremy, you were reading." That was very helpful. But, of course, there's something that she still kept on doing, of course. She sort of understood, but she sort of didn't. And so what happened was, it's first period, and everyone's tired and sluggish. So every week, everyone has their disfluencies. Even I'm a stutterer, so I have more disfluencies than a quote-unquote normal person. But we all stutter, no matter if we're classified as it or not. And she had her disfluencies. It was early in the morning, and she sometimes got stuck on her words. And she said, she tried not to offend me, but it really did. And she said, "Well, at least I don't stutter." And that was, it was weekly. It was a weekly thing. She did it on a different day, and you know what? I tried, and that was it. And I had to drop it because there isn't a point of going after someone. I gave her my literature. She probably read it. We got a positive effect, she just doesn't understand effect too. So that's a positive thing that came out of my brochures. Now, moving on to my Q&As. Now, when I was in, and I'm still in high school, when I was in 9th and 10th grade, I was picked on because of my stuttering and my religion of being Jewish. So these kids tormented me like crazy. And I eventually got my friends together, and we stopped them at the beginning of my sophomore year. And they made fun. Majority of it was because I stuttered. One kid pulled on my backpack and said, "Hey, Jeremy, how's it going?" Which was offensive. Or instead of saying "What's up," they say "Hey, stutterer." So that's what some of the guys did, and they didn't just do it in front of guys; they did it in front of girls, which was very offensive too. So when they stopped, I decided, what's going to happen if they meet someone else that stutters? It was about 8 guys, and they're probably going to do the same thing, but probably worse, because they still don't understand what they did. So I decided, most nervous thing, still to this day, probably the most nervous thing that I did, the most quote-unquote ballsy thing that I did, was that I was literally shaking, and I went to their table with my Q&As, and to the ringleader, I went up to them and I said, "Hey guys, I made Q&As that explains my stutter." I didn't say, "It explains my stutter and what you did was really wrong." I didn't say that, because then I would just start a fight in the middle of the cafeteria. That wouldn't be good. So I did that, and instead of throwing them away, 10 minutes later, the ringleader came up to my table and said, "Hey Jeremy, this is actually really good stuff." Wow. Which really was shocking, because I did not know that these kids were going to actually be nice. But clearly, everyone just explained to me that everyone is a nice person. some people have trouble being nice in some points. I've educated these kids. And still they say hi to me, they're nice, and the other goon of the group texted me a long apology saying he had no idea what he did was wrong. And you know what? Which is really weird. Yeah. Hey, you didn't know that was wrong to make fun of me saying, "Hey, stutter, what's up?" You know? So I was a little shocked, but he did it, and the apology, that is what mattered to me. Now, people that you cannot educate. Well, I have a friend, still to this day, I'm friends with him, which I don't know why I am, but I just did. So, we've been friends for a long time. And I'm in a math class of about 5 or 6 kids. There is 1 girl and there are 4 guys in the class. So every time in class you'd like to have your little side conversations, or your yelling across the room conversations. And every time that I had a stutter, he imitated me and he mocked me about it. And after class, we had a conversation I gave him a brochure, and what do you think happened when I was walking in the hallway 5 minutes later? It was on the ground. It was great. He didn't even look at it. So next day, he does it again, and I have a conversation with him again. And I tell him, "Hey, Blake, you know, I made this piece of literature, and I would like if you would read it because I think you may learn something." I didn't accuse him of anything. I just asked him to read it. And, of course, not on the floor, a little better, it ended up in the garbage when I was walking to my next class. And then the next week, he keeps on going. And then he has parties. And he says, "Hey, Jeremy, I am having a party." And you know what? I just don't respond to him, and I ignore him. And I said, and then he says, "Jeremy, why aren't you responding to me? Why are you ignoring me in school?" And I said, "Blake, I can't socialize with people that make fun of me." And he was also very anti-Semitic, which didn't help either. And what ended up happening was he was so desperate, so insecure, and said, "Jeremy, here, respond to me. And I ended up responding to him. And I said, "Blake, I can't do this anymore, you know. I can't be friends with someone that makes fun of me like that." And clearly, it seems like you do not understand. And he calls me, some nerve this kid has, says, and I pick up, and I say, "Hey, Blake," he says, "Hey, Jeremy," and he's like, "Why aren't you coming to my party?" And I said, "Because I don't hang out with people that aren't nice to me." And he said, "What have I done to you?" It's like some nerve this kid has, really. And I told him what he did. And I mentioned the Holocaust because he was also anti-Semitic too. And I mentioned to him about my stutter. And I told him, well, Blake, I stutter, and I don't purposely get stuck because it's a joke. Because really it's not a joke. I just have trouble getting my words out, and it takes me longer to get my words out. It probably takes longer than me for you to get your words out. And he said, "Jeremy, you know, I'm sorry." And sort of shrugged it off, I don't care. So,
Jeremy, I'm 3 and over.
Okay, cool. Okay. So I attended his party, and of course he makes fun of me again. And you know what? I drop it, and he still asks me to hang out with him, and I try to avoid him as much as possible. So I was going to talk about a lot more other things, but yeah, it's okay.
We would love to hear, but we're giving everybody 15 minutes.
Perfect. Fair and square. Okay. So just to quickly close out, the main idea of this was to make sure that if someone makes fun of you or if someone bullies you, instead of accusing them or saying, "Hey, you did that," or "You really, that was not nice," You know, instead of doing that, you have a dialogue with them, and you say how you feel. Because to people, feelings really matter, and that's what I found. Some people like Blake, they don't have feelings. But some people like the lit teacher, Miss Name, she has feelings. And they can be touched. And by having that extra dialogue, really makes a difference. And opening up to someone about what you have, it really changes people's perspective.